Okay, so in this short video, I'm going to go over long and short calls and puts. And what does it mean a long call? What does it mean a long put or a short call, short put? Because if you're me and you've grown up with Wall Street bets, then you'll know these terms through people saying, "Oh, I'm shorting Tesla, or I'm going long on GameStop." And the reality is that like these terms, they're kind of not incorrectly used, perhaps, but it's just used in a way which does not convey the full understanding, or is just abbreviated because the person that's using it has some assumption about the term. So let's motivate this really, I would say, from first principles, and begin by the fact that you have long and short as one aspect of a derivative option. Of course, options, I assume that you know what this is. And then a call or put being the second part of it. What's an interesting thing is that, like, if you're long or short on a stock, this is also like a valid thing to say. So let's get into what each of these words means. So first of all, if you are long, this means in the term of an option, you are buying a option, as opposed to if you are short, you are selling an option. And what are you buying? Well, you're either buying the right to buy or buying the right to sell. And so you're not actually buying the underlying stock, you're buying this option. And what you need to know is that there's a premium you have to pay for this right. And the premium you have to pay for this right, you pay to the person that is shorting an option, which means that they are selling an option for a premium. And then what does shorting mean? It means you have an obligation. So this is why you have a right and an obligation on both sides of this contract, because an option is a contract between somebody that's long and somebody that's short. Do not think of these terms as long meaning bullish and short meaning bearish, because both these terms can mean either or depending on the context. So just think of it as long is the right to buy or sell, and short is the obligation to sell or buy. So if you're long with the right to buy, this means that somebody else on the contract is short with the obligation to sell, because they have to sell to you so you can buy from them. Okay, so now we need to actually combine long and short with calls and puts to like really understand what's going on here. First of all, I assume you also know what a strike price is and an expiration date. So every option has a strike price, which is the value if the option is assigned, which means executed, because an option, once it expires on the expiry date, and one thing you need to know is that an option can have an expiry date as short as a few days if you're an option trader, which is stupid, or you can have a leap, which is a long option beyond 1 year. It just changed to a leap, which means a long equity something contract. But in any case, it's the same thing, but it's just longer than a year. And of course, that would have a shorter decay rate. So what do I mean by decay rate? I mean that there's intrinsic value and extrinsic value in an option. Okay? And intrinsic value in an option means that it is the value of the strike price. So like, let's say an option has a strike price of $200 and the current price of the stock is $190. So this means that the intrinsic value of the stock currently is like minus $10, because you wouldn't actually want to buy the stock with the option. You could just buy it from the market for $10 less. But because of extrinsic value, maybe there's still 1 year left in the option still has value because the price could surpass $200 within a year, of course. And this is essentially the volatility or uncertainty that you're buying and betting on when you do get an option. So we have this concept of extrinsic and intrinsic value, and then also we have this concept of being in the money or being out of the money. So if an option is with a strike price of $200 to buy. So you have the right to buy, and the stock now is at $240, and you're $40 in the money. And what you need to know is that an option is in multiples of 100. So if you have an option which is $40 in the money, then you have made effectively, if you exercise the option, 400 times $100, which is $40,000. Is it? No, it's $4,000. Sorry about that math hiccup. And furthermore, one thing between American and European, or North American and European options, which is worth noting, is that European options can only be assigned at expiration date. So they're like automatically assigned at expiration. Whereas this is actually the same thing for American stocks, but not only can you assign the expiration for American stocks, you can assign them anytime before expiration. So you can exercise anytime, like even if you're in the money, then you would want to exercise it. But if you think that it'll go even deeper in the money, then you don't want to exercise it. Because, I mean, you could, but then you'll lose essentially the leverage of the option. Because options are leveraged because you're not holding the underlying asset, rather you have the option to buy the asset, which is cheaper than if you own the asset itself. And it means that for a given investment, you can make much more money because it's as if you're holding the asset. But then this comes with all the downside risk if the stock goes in the opposite direction as you bet. So after this entire tangent, which I've gone through, now we can talk about being short. Being call. So we already talked about being shorting and being long, which means if you're long, then you have the right to do something, and then if you're short, then you have the obligation to do something. And then this is where call and put determines if it's sell or buy. So call, by definition, is the right to buy, but conversely, it also means the obligation to sell. So this is my biggest mental breakthrough, is realizing that it's simple, but realizing that the right to buy, which is the standard definition for call, just means the obligation to sell. Because if I have the right to buy from somebody, then they're obligated to sell to me if I choose to do that. And when I said out of the money versus in the money, right? An option can expire worthless if it's out of the money. So let's say that I went long on a call, which means that I bought the right to buy, since call is the right to buy. I bought this contract for a given premium. So let's say I bought the right to buy $200, and I thought that the price would go to $220, but it stayed at $190. Then the contract will expire worthless, because why would I buy the price of the stock for $200 when I can just buy it on the market for $190? So the person that sold me the call, which would have been, I'll just say it now, they were short. They sold a short call. They would make the money because they collected the premium without having to fulfill the obligation of the contract, meaning that it expired worthless. So this is being long on a call. It means the right to buy, which equivalently is the obligation to sell if you look at the short side. Okay, now let's quickly look at long put. Long put means that you're bearish. If you didn't know that long call means that you're bullish, then that's what it means. Long put means that you're purely bearish, and it's the right to sell. And why would you want the right to sell? So you're buying this contract for a premium, which is the right to sell. Let's say that you buy a contract for $5. You buy an option which has a premium of $5, which means that it actually costs $500 because you have to do 5 times 100, because it's worth 100 stock. The contract is worth 100 stocks if you just buy one option. Okay, and let's say that the strike price is $200 and it expires in a year, and currently the price is also $200 for the stock. If the price of the stock now goes to $160 a year from now, which might have been my prediction, then now I can sell a stock for in the money of $40. The contract is in the money of $40 and make once again $4,000. And this means that the person that sold it to me is obligated to buy it from me. So they have to buy my stock for $200, even though it's $160 in the market, because in this contract, this is the assignment when the stock expires. Okay, and that would be intrinsic value once again. I could, in 6 months, when the price of the stock is $180, already sell it for both intrinsic and extrinsic value. It's interesting. I don't know what the market would say, whether that would be worth more or less than $40, because that would be the intrinsic value if the price went down to 160 after a year. So probably it would be worth less than that, since dropping down another $20 would be quite significant. Once again, it depends on the volatility on the stock, so many other things. Okay, so we now discussed long for both for both call and put. Long put is bearish, long call is bullish, and it's the right to buy when you are long on a call, and the right to sell when you are long on a when you're long on something going down. So it's the right to sell. Okay, so if a long call is the right to buy, then a short call is the obligation to sell, as I said. So why would you want to have the obligation to sell in a long call? This would be the circumstance where you think that the price will either remain or go down. So just as long call is bullish, therefore a short call must be either neutral to bearish. So why is this the case? Let me give you an example. So I sell a right to buy to somebody else, which means that I have the obligation to sell, of a stock at $200, and the price currently is also $200. So this means that I'm either neutral or bearish, because what happens is that if the price stays at $200, well then the option is kind of just not worth anything at that point in time, because you could buy the same stock for that price on the market. So why would you buy it with the contract? But now if it goes below $190, this is the right to buy, right? So I'm giving this person the right to buy with a long call, and if the price goes down to $190, but the price of the option was $200, then why would they buy it from me for $200 when they can buy it from the market for $190? So it would expire worthless, it would be out of the money, and then I would get to collect the premium. So it's like neutral in the sense that if the stock price is the same, I still collected my premium and there's no difference from the buyer. But then if the price does go above, then I have to sell the stock to the person for $210 if the price was $210, which means that they realize a $10 gain, and then I have to buy the stock for $10 extra on the market if I don't have it, and then lose $10 per stock in the contract, which would be 100 times 10, so 1,000. And furthermore to this, what else do I have to say? If you have a naked call, then it means that I didn't even have the stock to sell to him, so I would have to buy the stock and then sell it to him. And then if I have a covered call, it means I already have the stock, so there's less downside risk. And now finally we have a short put, which is bearish to neutral. Interestingly enough, you would have never thought that a put could be bearish, but believe me, it is the case. And when would this be the case? Well, a put is the right to sell, but it's the obligation to buy if I'm short. So it's the obligation to buy, and I just said that it's bullish to neutral. So let's say that the stock price is currently 200, and I sold somebody the right to sell at 190. And then my thing is that I want the price to either go up or stay the same, because already when I sell the price at 190 strike, the right to sell, and the current price is 200, it's already $10 out of the money. Because why would the person sell right away the stock to me? So why would I buy from them for 190 when the price is 200, right? They would be giving me essentially a $10 discount in that case. But then if the price goes below, let's say that the stock price goes to 180, then now what they can do is buy the stock. If they did a naked put, which means that they didn't actually have the stock, they can buy the stock for $180 and then sell it to me for $190. And then for me, as long as the stock price stays above 190, then the option would expire worthless, and then I would collect the premium. And then if actually the price goes to like $300, I only collect the premium. So I don't have that upside risk that does happen if you're long, but it is tapered in the sense that I immediately get the premium, and I hope that the option expires worthless. So you can see that like when you're long, you have this insane upside risk, and when you're short, you have this insane downside risk. But it also is true that when you're short, you get this premium instantly, and as long as you bet that the price will either like if you're long, sorry, if you're short and you're calling, as long as the price is staying at the same price that you want or going below it, then the option will expire worthless because the person will no longer be able to buy from you for the higher price, and then the person will no longer be able to buy from you and then sell it for the higher price. And then conversely, with a short put, you want the price to either stay there or go higher, because then if the price goes even higher, then why would the person want to sell to you for a cheaper price when you can essentially, when the price is higher, right? Why would you sell somebody a stock for a cheaper price when you can buy it for more on the market, right? You're just giving them a discount. So this is a rambling take on long, short, puts, and calls. Those are 4 essential concepts in option finance. Why did I make this video? Because my plan is to buy options for AI stocks in 2026, maybe. We'll see. And I hope this video was helpful.